welcome to another edition of Eric's Product Reviews, brought to you by hollywoodfrodo.com. I am Eric, and today I'm talking to you about my new favorite gadget. This is the SofaBaton U1 Universal Remote Control, and this is an awesome product. I have a Logitech Harmony Universal Remote Control that I've been using, and this has actually replaced that. This has become my favorite universal remote control. Why? It's very small, very simple, sits very comfortably in the hand. The Logitech Harmony one I have is very big and bulky. Also, to select the device you want to use, you just have the scroll wheel up here. You scroll to it, and whatever you whatever you stop on, all these buttons are whatever you programmed for that particular device. You need to control a different device, you just scroll up or down a little bit and you're there, and it's very simple. With my Harmony uses this thing called activities, which can get complicated, and then especially if you're in an activity and you want to control a specific device, to get to that device can be kind of complex. With this, it's so simple because this remote does allow you, it's fully programmable. You'll see, I'm going to give you a demo of programming, but a lot of the devices, thousands and thousands of devices, are built into the app, and you sync the app to the remote through Bluetooth, and then you can pick your device. But if your device isn't in there, or even if it is, but if there are additional things you want to program, this is a learning remote. So any remote you have, you can point to this and press the button you want this to learn, let it know which button in the app you're wanting to do that signal, and teach anything you want. Then you can set up macros. For example, the power button. If I put this on TiVo and I hit the power button, it doesn't turn on TiVo because I always have my TiVo on. I never turn it off. But it does turn on my DIN and AV receiver and turns it to the TiVo input, and it does turn on my TV. It turns on all the devices I need to be on to watch that. Or if I want to switch inputs, if I scroll to the Blu-ray player and I press the input button, even though I'm on Blu-ray, I've programmed the input button to control my receiver to turn it to the correct input for Blu-ray. So you can control everything with this. My LG OLED TV, my Blu-ray player, my Apple TV, my TiVo Romeo DVR, and my DIN and AV receiver, all fully controllable using the buttons to do everything you want. And like I said, you're able to easily change buttons to do different things. You can change any button to control any built-in IR signal that is in the library, or you can teach it, you can have it learn something, or you can give it a macro to do several different things with that button. So really awesome. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to jump over to a demo of me using this with my TV and all my equipment so you can see how easily it works, how well it works, and then from there we'll jump over to a quick video showing you the setup process and how easy it is to program this using your Android or iPhone connected to this and using the app. It's really easy to set up. You don't have to set up an account or anything. You just open the app, launch the app, the app connects to the remote, and then you're ready to program it. Really easy and simple, and once you get all set up, then it works great. So let's jump over to those two videos. So I want to show you how you can control anything with this remote really easily. You can see my TV is over there, and then over there is all my equipment. My Apple TV, TiVo Romeo, DIN and DVR, and LG Blu-ray player. So what's cool about this, like for example, I put on Apple TV, if I push the power button, I've programmed this so that that power button is a macro that turns on everything that needs to be turned on for Apple TV. So it turns on the receiver, it turns on the TV, and I don't ever turn Apple TV off. I just hit the menu button to bring it up, but it doesn't turn off. So you can see it turned on. Now we're on Apple TV. So now, there you go. So now you see, so now I can just scroll and see the scroll wheel. I can quickly, if I wanted to watch just TiVo, I can scroll over to TiVo, and now this is controlling TiVo. But the input button, I specially programmed so that when I'm on a certain device, that input button actually switches my receiver to that device. So if I press that input button, then that's switching my receiver over to TiVo. And let me turn the volume down. I programmed the volume, especially programmed the volume control buttons so that no matter what I'm watching, no matter what device I'm controlling, the volume buttons always control the DIN receiver, because volume is always going through the DIN receiver, and so these volume buttons will always control the volume on the DIN receiver, no matter what device I'm on. If I wanted to switch over to, let's say, my Blu-ray player, now I've got it on my Blu-ray player, and so if I press the input, it switches to the Blu-ray player, and turn my Blu-ray player on. And again, if everything was off, it would just automatically turn everything on that needs to be on for the Blu-ray player, because the on button is a macro that turns the DIN receiver to the right input and turns it on, turns the TV on, and is ready to control. So I can now control my Blu-ray player. And you see I got full controls. I'm going to go back to the TiVo. I'm going to hit input, so it switches over to the TiVo input, and I'm going to show you that I can fully control that. That's my TiVo button. I programmed the home button on here to my TiVo button, my guide button. I made this little blue button my live TV button. Basically, you're able to control everything great, and even the TV. So I don't watch things through the TV, but if I switch over to the TV, this is the, again, see if I can focus. I have an LG OLED TV, and once I put it on that input, sorry about the focus, but right now I'm on the LG, oh no, that's the Blu-ray player. So TV is the LG TV, and when I put it on that, then I can fully control the TV as well. So if I hit input, you'll see it allows me to go input. If I hit home, that's what brings up my apps, so I can launch Netflix or Amazon Prime or Disney straight on the TV if I don't want to use the Apple TV. I can hit the menu button, and it brings up the little menu over there. I can you know, go up and down, change things as I select and change things if I need to. Everything that you need to control the TV, control the TV. So with this remote, just by scrolling to the right device, I can control it. And then I scroll right back to the TiVo Romeo, and now I can control now the buttons are controlling the TiVo Romeo. So whatever. And the other thing I did, the cool macro, is I made this E button down here. I said E for everything. So no matter what I'm on, when I hit the E button, it turns off everything. So it turned off the TV, it turned off the receiver. In this case, it didn't turn off TiVo because I never turn off my TiVo, so I didn't program it to do that. TiVo stays on all the time. But as you can see, this remote fully controls everything really easily just by scrolling to what you need to control. And then, you know, once you've set it up, once you've programmed all these keys, you're able to fully control everything. So the first thing we do to use the SofaBaton smart remote is we install the app, because the app is what communicates with the remote control to get it set up to exactly the way you want it. So now we're going to open it up, and it's going to kind of give you some information about what you need to do in order. First is allowing to access device location. I'm going to say only while using the app. A lot of new apps, there's something Android did that requires that permission in order to use certain types of things. So anyway, and I was telling you, it's saying press and hold the minus and E button at the same time until the screen reads pairing. So I'm going to press and hold the E and that until it says pairing. And you see it says pairing. And now on the screen it says right here, please select the remote you want to connect to. So, running, successfully connected, and you can see on the remote thing it now says add a device, so it is ready. I am in the United States, so it's already checked. I'm going to pick done, and now it says you haven't added anything. What do you want to add? So I'm going to click the add button. What type of remote? This is going to be, I'm going to be replacing mostly infrared remotes right now. In fact, all of my remotes are infrared remotes, so say infrared remote. Now there's two ways to do this. One is learning from the existing infrared remote. So this remote can receive IR signals from your existing remote to learn anything. And I'll demonstrate that at the end. But to start, we're going to use things that I know are in the database. And most major manufacturers are going to be in the database. And if they aren't, like if there's a TV you have and you don't find it, email these guys and let them know, and chances are they'll be able to add it for you within a few days. Again, most major ones are already in there, but just in the circumstance that you search for something and it's not in there, if it's a major manufacturer, they can probably add it for you really quickly. So I'm going to say search from the database. So it's connecting to their database, and so the manufacturer, first thing I'm going to do is LG, and the device, this is for my TV, my LG OLED TV, and it is OLED. I don't know if OLED is part of the model number, so I'm going to leave that off, and we'll just say 65C 9 PUA. Search. And here we have LG OLED 65C 9 PUA, which is what it is. So I'm going to select that. Please enter the device name and select the icon. Device name, TV, which is what it is. Icon, so you can select any of these icons, whatever you want, whatever you think best represents. I'll select that, and I'm going to click next. And you can see on the remote is now downloading. The app is communicating with the remote to download all the infrared codes for use. Now it says it's to now customize your remote. So you'll see assigned keys, macro keys, learn keys, Bluetooth keys. So you can go in and adjust these to be different things. And we'll go over that later. For right now I'm going to say done, and I'm going to say add. We're going to add something new. We're going to say infrared remote. I'm going to say search from database, and for this one I'm going to do a TiVo. So I have a TiVo that we use, TiVo, and it is the TiVo Romeo. TiVo Romeo. So I'll click that. Device icon looks good to me. Click next. Again, same thing happens. It's downloading all the different codes, and you can see on the device shows downloading because it's downloading those to the device. Once that is done, once again, you see you can customize the buttons, what they do. I'm just going to leave them as they are for now. Now, if you don't like the order of something, the order that it's in, no big deal. You just go over to the app, and you can rearrange the order that things appear on the remote. So I'm going to long press this, and then drag it down to the bottom, and that rearranges it so that if I now go back over to the app, you can see candles on the bottom. So that's the things I'm going to probably control the least. Okay, now here's what's super cool. Once you have all these in there, how you can customize this. So for example, Apple TV. Apple TV doesn't have a volume control. So when I go to the remote, you can see there's no green around the volume. That's because Apple TV itself doesn't have volume. That's not something you control. You control the volume of what you're watching on Apple TV with either your TV volume or, in my case, the AV receiver volume. It's so easy to assign these buttons to do that. So I'm going to hit the volume up button, and then it's going to ask me what do you want to do. Reassign the key, learn from original remote, or create a macro. I'm going to reassign the remote key, and look, everything I've programmed in here is already available. So I just click AV receiver, and then I go to volume up and click done. And now it's programmed so that when I'm on Apple TV, the volume up button turns the volume up of my receiver. Do the same thing for volume down and mute, and now I can control that. So you can control all other devices from whatever remote you're in without having to scroll to that device. If it's something like this, volume, you always will volume to control the receiver. So I can go to each device and set volume control to always affect the receiver. Really awesome, so that when I'm watching Apple TV, I don't have to change remotes in order to control the volume on my receiver. I can just control it that way. So very cool feature, easy to customize and make this the way you want it to be. So here's a cool thing you can do. So I'm on the TiVo remote, and whenever I'm watching, when I want to turn on TiVo, I also want to make sure my receiver is on the TiVo input. So I'm going to click that button, and I'm going to say learn from original remote. Now I actually don't have my TiVo remote, I have my Denon receiver remote, and I'm going to press the button I press to get into TiVo for that. And so I press that so that it learns the remote signal, the infrared signal, to switch the AVR to TiVo. I find that when I do this, a lot of times it fails the first time, but then gets it the second time. So there we go. Sometimes it takes a couple of tries, but eventually gets it. So now, when I turn to TiVo, I can also hit the input button on the TiVo to switch my AVR over to the right input to receive the TiVo and play sound from the TiVo. Okay, so another really cool thing you can do is you can create macros. So for example, when I want to watch TiVo, my TiVo is always on, so I don't actually ever need to power it on. What I do need to power on is the TV, as well as the receiver, and switch the receiver input over to TiVo. So if I hit the power button, you'll see that one of the options is edit macro for this key. So I'm going to edit the macro for this key, and then go down here, and you'll see TiVo Romeo power. I don't need that because it's always on. So I'm going to cancel that out. I'm going to go over here, and first I'm going to choose TV, and it's going to show me the TV options. I want to power on the TV, and I want to power on the receiver, so AV receiver, and now it's connecting to those options. I want to power on the receiver, and then after that I want to switch the input to the TiVo input, which I've already programmed into that key, so I'll choose that. Now you can change the delay of time. You see how much time. So between powering on the TV and the receiver, I don't really need any delay, so I'm going to click done. But I need to make sure the receiver is on before it switches over the input. So I'm going to open that, and then I'm going to choose a 1.5 second delay just to make sure the power is on, because you can't switch that until it is. And of course you can go back and adjust this if that doesn't work. So now I've created a macro so that when I change my remote to TiVo and press the power button, it turns on the TV, turns on the receiver, and switches over to TiVo Romeo. And click the save button, and now it's loading that, and now I'm good to use that macro on the remote. Whenever I press the power button and it's on TiVo Romeo, it's going to do all those things to turn those things on and set it to the right input.
So you can see this thing is really easy to program. Programming is probably the hardest part. It does take a little bit of time just to get everything set up correctly, choosing your devices, setting up those macro buttons if you want to use any macros, and you probably will unless you're just controlling one or two devices. Also, if there's something you need to program manually, doing that, that takes a little bit of time. Once you get it all set up, that's it. Once I had this all set up, I set it up initially, then like a day later, I was like, oh, I want to change this and change that, so I did that. Since then, I haven't had to change anything, and like I said, this remote works flawlessly. I love the screen, the way it disappears, and then as soon as you pick it up, it pops up. It's very easy to read. If I had any quote-unquote complaints about the remote or improvements I'd like to see, is these keys aren't backlit, so they're a little bit harder to see in the dark. And same thing with the Logitech Harmony remotes that I have. None of those have backlit keys either. In fact, almost no remotes these days have backlit keys. I don't understand why. That was a thing, and then it like disappeared. Like they all decided you didn't need it anymore. I guess they think no one watches TV without the lights on anymore. Anyway, so they don't have backlit keys. Neither do any other universal remotes, hardly. But this you can read in the dark to change that because it lights up, which is great. The only advantage of the Logitech Harmony remote over this remote, and like I said, it's a big, huge remote, is the IR signal on that seems to be a little bit stronger. So if you happen to like be walking out of the room and you're way far away from your equipment, that IR blaster is a little bit stronger than the one on this one. But that being said, generally speaking, I'm not using this remote in a different room. I'm using it sitting on my sofa watching TV, and as you can see in the demo, I'm able to control all my devices without any issue at all. So I love this. I love it. It's comfortable in the hand. It sits well. As you saw, very simple to set up. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time, but once you get through it, it's good to go, and you never have to mess with it again until you add some new equipment, and then it'd be easy to just go in the app and change things around. I love it. I love the way I think using the app to program it is brilliant because it's way, way easier than the Logitech Harmony remote. That thing was very complicated and confusing to understand. And it's also harder to use once you're done setting up the Logitech Harmony. It gets confusing switching devices and stuff. With this, no problem. Very simple. They did a great job making it advanced enough to do everything you need it to do, but keeping it simple so that it's easy to use because, you know, when you're watching TV and stuff, you don't want to have to fumble around and think about it and figure out and find, where do I find that device? You know, you just want to go to it. And with this little scroll wheel, it's so easy just to go to the device you want to control and control it. So it works really great. I love it. I highly recommend it. It is available on Amazon, so I'm going to have a link in the description below. You can click that link, you can jump over to Amazon, you can read what other people have said about it, and pick one up for yourself. Anyway, that's going to be it for this review. If you like this review, please click that like button. If there are any questions you have, something I didn't cover in this video, feel free to post it in the comment section below. I'll do my best to get back to you as quickly as I can. Don't forget to favorite this playlist to keep up with future product reviews, or go ahead and subscribe to my channel and keep up with all my videos. Anyway, that's going to be it until next time, so have a great day.